Welcome to the Njirati studio. We're located at the CTICC for the African Utility Week 2014, and here with us we have Riaan Marshall. You are the head of section Substation projects in the energy sector at DNV GL. Welcome, thank you for joining us and
thank you, Denise.
Taking time out of your busy schedule at the conference. How are you enjoying it so far?
I think it's a great conference, it's a great exhibition.
Yeah.
It's really at a very high standard.
Oh, good to know.
And I'm enjoying it.
Good.
Because it's good to see the diversity of technology offerings available into the African market.
Okay, so definitely some good developments happening out there.
I'm very happy that I'm here.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us. The reason why we have you here is you are the author, and you've co-authored with a bunch of other experts. And you've written a white paper. It's called, it's all about technical risk management for energy projects. Have I got that right?
Correct,
yeah?
yes.
Would you like to expand on it and first of all, tell us why did you write about it? What was the driver for it?
All right. Thank you, Denise. Well, first of all, indeed, I wrote it with two other experts from DNV GL, Bart Rotte and Harold Dake. And we're all based in Arnhem, in the Netherlands. And the driver for us to write this paper is the fact that in Africa today, as we are involved across the continent, we are noting it's quite visible, and public knowledge that there's an existing gap between the electricity supply and demand.
Yes.
So there's a very thin margin between the demand peak and the available capacity, which is a risk. And secondly, if one looks at the growth curves of electricity demand, driven by social development, social upliftment, driven by industrial mining projects, there is an increasing gap between the available energy and the demand.
Yeah.
And so there's a high level of investment required. And given the African continent, with all its specificities, there's a need to technically risk manage projects.
Yeah. And you were saying that the projects are becoming so much more complex, and that perhaps maybe they're not being managed in a holistic manner, that perhaps there are gaps where risks are popping up even more so because attention is not being paid maybe to the whole project as a whole.
Yes.
Would you like to expand on that?
Sure.
Are they perhaps maybe more outsourcing is needed, or what is the solution to this?
Yeah, Denise, it goes a little bit beyond outsourcing.
Right.
If we look back at the traditional electricity supply industry, and the model, it's that of a vertically integrated utility. Meaning one utility generate, transmit and distribute. Now, one of the drivers for unbundling the generation side of the industry is that utilities in their traditional makeup cannot respond quick enough, and they do not respond quick enough in some regions on the continent to respond to the supply, the growth in supply. So there is an opportunity for independent power producers, for private investors, to actually invest and establish power generation plant.
Yes.
There is an opportunity because of the difference between the demand and supply on the one hand. Also, it brings in a competitive element in the generation side to ensure that the electricity supply to consumers are not only durable but also affordable.
Yes.
And
a major concern in Africa, where the pockets are not maybe as filled up as
you are quite right. So
Europe, it's hard times here.
Well, just by the way, I can assure you that in Europe, the driver behind the deregulation, not only on the generation side, but also on the distribution side, is indeed cost-driven. So the European consumers of electric energy are equally sensitive and aware of the price. Also, the opening up of the generation sector to independent or private investors and power producers brings about a cost effectiveness,
Right.
and will bring about a cost effectiveness, and moreover,
Yeah.
there's a renewable, there's a green factor to the new generating plant.
Yes.
Wind, solar, of which Africa has an abundance of. And now that said, if one looks back at the vertically integrated utility, where the utility would generate, transmit and distribute,
Yes.
to an environment where on the generation side there's multiple players, investors,
Yeah.
it becomes more complex.
Yeah.
It becomes more complex, and together with that, why the complexity is because it is normally not coal-fired power stations only, which are being built. It used to be like that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of wind energy being connected to the
Whole
grid.
new energy mix now, isn't
It's
it?
a
And
mini
it's
mix.
only going to grow.
That's the point. It's a new mix.
Yeah.
And it's the mix, and it is the need, the urgency to get the plant online
Yeah.
to close the gap in energy demand, or the
Right.
gap between demand and supply. And from that point of view, it becomes more complex.
Yeah.
Now, there are more contracts. There's the contract about the wind farm. If we take wind as an example, it could also
Yes.
be solar,
Yeah.
it could also be gas.
Yeah.
So that is one contract placed, and normally between the investor or developer, there is a power purchase agreement.
Right.
There's also what is referred to or known as the grid code, which is the technical compliance of a generator to certain grid
Yes.
parameters, just to make it compatible.
Yeah.
There is the transmission line, could be AC or DC.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, and normally it is. It could be a part of the public network, so the local utility. It could also be a merchant power link. And all that said, so you can see, one can see that there's a number of back-to-back contracts,
Yeah.
and the success, the timeliest delivery, and the successful technical performance of new plant coming online depends on many more interfaces.
Yeah.
And what we are seeing from DNV GL involvement in African countries is that it is a real challenge,
Yeah.
because understandably each contractor or supplier focuses on their contract, their
Not
responsibilities.
on the other ones.
and not on the other ones. It is in a
Exactly.
way normal. And we have sensed, and in fact we are offering to utilities today, to lenders and to developers, we are offering an independent third-party service on which we take an integrated approach to assessing risk on the project, and we advise our customer,
Yeah.
wherever they are in that value chain of energy, from
Right.
generation or transmission or integrating into the network.
Yes. I mean, it can be the be-all and end-all of a project, surely. I mean, money must get lost, due to various risks that perhaps they haven't recognized straight away, without
Yeah.
a third party overlooking
Yes.
this.
Indeed.
Miscommunication. I mean, how much money do you think gets lost on a project? It must. It could be quite significant.
Those figures are known, but I'm not that qualified to quote figures.
Yeah, but it must
Nevertheless,
be,
it's public knowledge, the overruns on some of the projects, and certainly there is a return on investment if it's the
Right.
utility themselves creating the generating plant. If it's a private investor or a developer,
Yeah.
it is so much more important
Yeah.
to ensure that the return on investment will be generated.
Absolutely.
And from that point of view, technical performance and on-time delivery becomes more important at an integrated level for the
yeah.
developer or the investor or the utility to ensure that, for the utility to ensure that energy comes online at the right time to
Yeah.
meet the growth curves nationally, load growth curves, and for the investor to ensure that he can start dispatching his energy and start commercial operation of the plant.
Absolutely.
So the risk is to be managed during as early as possible.
Now, do you think by employing the services of DNV GL, for risk management purposes, do you think projects would be made more bankable? So if I went to an investor or to a bank and said, look, I've got a third-party risk assessor on board, surely that would make projects more bankable? Surely investors would be more willing
Absolutely. So it is
to plow money into the project.
No, I fully agree. It is the identification
Yeah.
of risks, and then the mitigation of risks. One should not and need not mitigate risks all to zero, but within within the potential impact it may have would it realize.
Yes.
So it's like an insurance premium.
Absolutely.
An insurance premium is normally quite low to protect one against a high impact event and to ensure that it doesn't happen. And the difference I would say between a third party involvement on risk assessment
Yes.
and an insurance is that one also gets the experience.
Right.
And one gets the advice. So there's a proactive part in
Instead of a reactive
Yes.
take on it. Okay.
yes, and
all
one
right.
can almost not
Yeah.
involve an independent third party too early.
Okay.
It
So
should-
almost from the outset.
from a feasibility stage.
Okay. All right.
We like to look at our involvement from, let's say, from feasibility to constructability.
Yes.
And very important, Denise,
Yes.
is during the warranty period.
Yeah.
Because it's during the warranty period, which could be 1 year or 2 years. It's very typical
Yeah.
for these type infrastructure
You want
projects.
to know what your risks are.
You want to know what the risks are. The warranty period is the only chance that the future owner
Yeah.
has of confirming that his plant will deliver and perform and actually generate and dispatch the energy that the power purchase agreement is based on.
It's a very short period of time, 1 year,
It's very quick.
plow up all the.
And from
the
there,
risks.
my view that one
Yeah.
should have an involvement much early on.
Yeah, yeah. Now, as far as Africa is concerned, do you find that these project managers, utilities are actually taking risk management seriously enough? Are you having to sell it a lot more? Is it a? I mean, yeah. What have you found? What have you found with the African utilities and
Yeah.
projects? Is it easy to come on
the
board?
African utilities are very much aware of the risk.
Right.
They're very alert to it as well, and it is a question of how to deal with it.
Okay.
And it is,
Differently from overseas? Is it a different kind of market? Different kind of?
I would say, Denise, more not really differently from overseas, differently from before.
All
Differently
right.
from before, where it was the vertically integrated utilities' sole responsibility
Yeah.
of generating and meeting demand.
Okay, all right. Well, we could go on for a long time. I'll certainly
Indeed.
contact you with regards to the white paper. And we will definitely make a point of putting the link to the white paper onto Injirati so that our viewers can have a look at it in
Right.
detail. But thank you very, very much for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Welcome, Denise.
And I hope that you enjoy the conference further and that you gain much success out of it.
I am enjoying it.
And
Maybe a last remark from my
Yes.
side is that just recently it was published yesterday in the Business Day that
Yes.
that Africa remains one of the most attractive continents and energy markets to introduce new technology, and it would be on the generation side.
yeah,
The reason being that the return on investment is quicker. Investment on transmission assets or even distribution level assets has a return period of 10 to 15 years,
all right.
and generating plant has a return period of 3 to 5 years. So there's an incentive for investors, and to attract investors, we like to attract them with assistance of minimizing risk.
Exactly. So although you've got this huge influx of vendors coming in,
Correct.
you still need to ensure that the projects run smoothly, that it's not just a...
That they run smoothly, that they are delivered on time
Yeah.
according to technical specification,
Yeah.
and to have those as benchmarks or references
Yes.
for future investors,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
to let Africa become and reach its potential of an area, of a continent where new technologies can be applied and successfully as well.
And to harness our abundant resources that we have on this continent.
really have an abundance.
Absolutely. Well, thank you once again for your time.
Well, I thank you.
And then to our viewers, thank you very much for taking the time to watch the interview. I'm sure you've enjoyed it. Please note that there are a number of interviews that will be running over the next 2 days at the conference. Please do enjoy them.